Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Standard has been an absolute dumpster fire for the last, I don't know, year and a half. We went, 4 or 5 years without a ban, and then they had to ban, 5 or 6 cards? The fact that I've lost count is kind of telling by itself. And it wasn't like when they banned 5 artifact lands where they're like, oh, we banned 5 cards. No, you banned a concept. They had to ban cards that many times in a row. I mean, there was Smuggler's Copter by itself, then there was, incorrectly, Emrakul. Then there was, Marvel, which was the correct one. That's not chronological, by the way. I mean, they just had to go from toxic unplayable to, we kind of fixed it. Toxic unplayable, we kind of fixed it. Oh, Red Rush is ruining everything, we kind of fixed it. Oh, you want me to cite my source on the fact that Standard has been a disaster? Okay. Wizards of the Coast themselves in their own words. Now, I couldn't find the actual article. I've made like 5 videos showing the article, so I mean, it shouldn't be news to anybody at this point. But they admitted in the article where they said, Standard's been, a little rough. Oh, it's been bad. We're kind of sorry. The softest, PR friendly, public-facing, typical corporate image crap. It was the article where they stated, okay, we're hiring these 2 people, name them by names, to oversee everything from card design to final play testing, and they can just, veto anything. They're there to step in and make sure Saheeli Ryan-Felder never make it through R&D. And that overpowered cards don't get printed in the first place. I think they even cited Smuggler's Copter by name. So they were going hard on themselves. So me and Wizards both agree that Standard has been a complete catastrophe for quite a while now. And F&M attendance, sales numbers, customer counts, everything agrees with that. So yeah, it's been doing bad. So how do we turn it around? That's what this whole video is about. Let me just undercut the whole video to insert this one little point. Stop hiring pro players and judges. That's not us. That has nothing to do with us. I'm not kidding when I say 99.99% of their customers, of their players, are never going to step foot inside of a GP and participate in it. Never going to happen. I mean, there's 1 to 2,000 people at a GP playing or whatever. I don't even know. I don't care. And there's somewhere between 11 and 20 million customers between casual and F&M attendees. There's some overlap in the attendance in multiple GPs per year. You do the math. It's 99.9% plus that are, they don't care about pro level. So, maybe stop hiring people where their whole world, their whole concept and experience at Magic is the pro level, and that's it. They don't even know what F&M is at this point. They are so disconnected and out of touch with the community, they don't even know what fun is. They're just like, math, competitiveness, power, okay, top decks tier 1, that's it. We don't care about tier 2, we don't care about fun, we don't care about enjoyment, we don't care about what the customers really want. We just care about the pro level, because that's where we're from, and that's where we've played for 10 years. That's how this crap keeps happening. That is the real problem. So, sparing that, because they're never going to fix that. I mean, who they need to hire is me. And I don't just mean me, because there's a lot of me's out there, okay? Not only should they be hiring mathematicians, programmers, logical analysts, game specialists, probability specialists, even AI programmers so the AI can find infinite combos for you, because clearly you can't. They should be hiring people who have played casually for 3+ years and always build their own decks. That's all you need to qualify. If that's you, congratulations. You're more qualified to do R&D's job than they are. And all these people that have been at Wizards for 20 years and they remember what Magic was back then, oh, they have so much experience, they're doing so much better than anybody else, they're the most qualified. No, that knowledge is actually a detriment. Magic doesn't even resemble what it was like 10 to 15 years ago, so that knowledge and that experience and using that as a reference, incredibly detrimental to just looking at the last 5 years, I'd say. Last 5 years is probably accurate. Even just RTR onward. That's like the postmodern era, if you were to say 8th edition is modern. All of their information, patterns, everything, mostly irrelevant and misleading. I mean, there are some takeaways you can take away, like don't print Dark Ritual. And Black Lotus might have been a little bit much, and don't let people blow up too many lands, and free casting is bad, but most of the other stuff is just no, it was completely different people, the internet wasn't a thing, just don't even use that knowledge, it's outdated and irrelevant. But yeah, they need to hire people who are their customer base, but also know what they're doing. They know how to make it fun, enjoyable, and honestly, who cares what happens at the pro level? Most people, I'd say, don't. Other than a bunch of douchebags copying whatever the deck results are, it has no bearing at the local level. None whatsoever. Nobody watches the streams, and all the tryhards go to MTGO. I mean, this ain't news. So what's solution number 1 to fix Standard? Well, this is very direct, strict, and effective. And this isn't just a theory. People do this. You would not believe how widespread this is. I've hinted at this in other videos, but it's have your store have their own ban list. Who cares what Wizard says? And this is in a bit of a WPN program, gray area, because they never said you can't have your own ban list. I mean, if they ban a card, you can't say you allow it and then hold that as an official sanctioned tournament. You can't do that. That's against like WPN, DCI rules or whatever. But I mean, let me give you a scenario. Okay, somebody's constantly cheating. They're trying to trade shark people. They're rude. They're mean. Everybody hates them. Nobody wants them there. They're just a terrible person. They're terrible to play with, and they're ruining everybody's good time and fun. So the store owner kicks them out. Okay, now somebody shows up with Approach of the Second Sun. They're playing 40-minute rounds. They're completely shutting down everybody's decks. Nobody can even get their deck off the ground against that toxic control spam bullshit, and they're ruining everybody's fun time. Nobody wants them there. Does this sound familiar? Kick them out. And not just like, oh, with zero warning, you're playing a perfectly valid deck, but we're going to ban you from the store for life. No, just tell them, and this is what people actually do, stop playing that deck. We don't allow Approach of the Second Sun here. You're going to have to switch decks or play somewhere else. That's all there is to it. And I have heard more than a dozen accounts of all different stores across America and, well, internationally too, where they had to resort to that. In fact, people were banning Eldrazi from their modern Wednesday, modern Monday, whatever tournaments. I would say, boy, a month and a half before Wizards finally banned it. They're just like, this is bullshit. We don't even want people wasting the money on this stupid deck because it's going to get banned. So we're just going to, head it off because people were they stopped showing up. It's what you see right now in Standard. People were like, I'm done with this crap. I'm not playing against this. This isn't fun anymore. I'm going to stay home and play video games or something. Just if something is more fun, especially if it's cheaper, you're going to do it instead. So as soon as Magic stops being fun, you're losing money, Wizards. But they don't care about fun. They care about the pro level, tier 1 decks. That's it. And they think the solution to, slipping numbers and this and that is to be more progressive and more diverse, and we need less white people. It must be just all those racist white people keeping all the colored folks out of F&M. Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, we get a whole bunch of legitimate verified accounts of people saying, no, you can't play with us because you're different. What the hell do they think this is, 1950? It's bullshit. That never happens. We had a brand new player show up to F&M last week, and she was a female. I can't really say, I didn't notice right away, but it wasn't on my mind. I'm just like, new player, cool. They seem nice. It wasn't like gender. The first thing in my mind is gender. At my shop, males and females show up. At my old work, we had males and females. I went to school with 50% guys and 50% girls. So when a girl shows up to F&M, my head doesn't explode and I don't treat them any differently. I'm just like, a person. It is another person. So no, Wizards, the answer isn't inclusivity and diversity and, the Magic's failing because of racism and discrimination and gatekeeping. No, that's a fantasy. Pull your head out of your ass, you stupid Seattle assholes. So they're disconnected from society and live in a fantasy world, and they're disconnected from the player base and live in a fantasy pro-only world. So we're off to the races already. No wonder why it's been completely screwed up for over a year. So my point is, Wizards thinks all these different reasons about why people are leaving. It must be that Jeremy driving people away from the game. It's all Jeremy's fault. I don't think it is. No, it's because people aren't having fun. It's not, the cards are too expensive. It's not even really paper quality. People are going to play the game if the cards curl or not. Nobody's going to stop playing the game over curling cards. I mean, it's annoying and it makes them look bad, but I don't think it's actually losing them customers, except maybe long-term investors, because they know the cards aren't going to hold up. Do I think they should fix it? Hell yes, they should. It's an embarrassment and it's an insult. It's a serious company image problem, but is it just losing them money hand over fist? No, absolutely not, it isn't. But they probably think it is. See, they're going to blame everything that they want to blame instead of really analyzing the problem. The problem is people aren't having fun because other people are ruining it for them. Take a guess who I'm talking about. If you had to guess, I'll give you a hint. It starts with net and ends with deckers. But net decker wouldn't even be a term. You couldn't be a net decker if there weren't broken, overpowered decks. If there was 30 roughly equally powered decks instead of just, 3, what's there to copy? Well, how do you go on the internet and download the best deck and buy the best deck for $500 and then go crush 13-year-olds with it? So you could win $15 worth of prizes and feel real good about yourself. That's an efficient use of money and the best way to make friends and not piss people off at all. So if Wizards would just stop letting these decks be a thing, then there you go. So get people in R&D and playtesting who know what the hell they're doing and know what the customers actually want. Have your local gaming store run their own ban list. and just eliminate the problem so that the rest of, the vast majority of the players can actually have fun. And I'm not just saying lower the power level, just, cut all the tier 1 decks. It's, maybe the deck is interesting, fun, like it's really high powered, really efficient, like maybe Vampire Tribal. That's aggravating, but I would never say, well, that's just broken, they just designed it wrong. It's creatures and they have lifelink and they boost each other. That's magic. It's like, you look at Modern, you're like, Storm and Affinity are bullshit, but Jund is like actual magic. Like, you're actually swinging with creatures and casting spells and like doing things. So if people are sick of, playing against vampires because they can't beat it, they're going to build better decks and better decks and better decks to try to beat it. They're going to try to build what beats it. What the hell beats Approach of the Second Sun? Nothing. You're not going to have more control and draw combos than they are. You're just not. It's not mathematically possible. That deck cannot be stopped. The only thing that stopped it was like the Dispossess or whatever, or Lost Legacy, one of the two of them. I don't remember which one. Well, guess what? Their deck's full of counterspells, and they know that if you get one of those off, they lose the game. Or they could just, win the first game, you sideboard it in, and then you stall out to the 50-minute timer. Not that hard to do. People were doing that. See, it's not just, I don't like that deck. It's too powerful. I don't want to play against it. I want to bring my low-powered crap because it's got rabbits in them, and I like Rabbit Tribal, and I should be able to win with my crappy deck. Hell no. No, you got to build a good enough deck if you want to win. It's just, when there's like, it doesn't matter what you build, you're going to lose to this, then we got a problem. And if it gets to that rate, Wizards will ban it. But it's, maybe this deck doesn't have the most amazing win ratio, just like Red Rush right now. It doesn't have an amazingly good win rate. It has like a 51% win rate against other competitive decks. But it's not fun, and it crushes creativity, because you can't even build a medium speed deck. You cannot build a no control deck. The deck is so perfect and flawless and like it's consistent. There's very little you can do to stop it. I mean, it's not nothing. You can build decks that stop Red Rush. I mean, all my decks do. But boy, would I like to build another deck. I've got some hyper powerful ideas for a deck, like mid-range red, not even just red dragons. We're talking pre-M19. Like a legendary heavy red equipment creature, mid-range 3, 4, 5, 6 semi-ramp deck. Still mono though. Get Jaya in there, get Chandra in there, do some crazy shit mid-game. Oh, that deck would have been amazing. It would have been so good and so powerful. Oh, but it's not fast enough. Oh, well, it's fast enough to play Magic. I mean, it's not like so slow that it's never going to happen realistically. It's just that deck suppresses anything remotely not fast or that doesn't have enough control to stop that many creatures. And that is ridiculous. And in the same meta, you got to play around also Approach. I mean, that's just, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Those are the types of decks that should never happen. That's what should be caught in play testing. But people are like, but the win percentage with this is 51%. There is no problem. No, Wizards, there is a problem. The problem is you're losing like 5% of the customer base every time you release a new set. Maybe because nobody wants to play against this bullshit. So any deck that like pigeonholes people into only playing one or two archetypes. It's like, yeah, the deck is beatable, but what are the consequences of it still being legal? That's what Wizards needs to consider. That is really the number one problem with their ban decisions right now, or lack thereof. Oh, this deck is hyper toxic and everybody hates it, and every card in it is overpowered garbage. But it only has a 49% win rate, so everything's healthy, right? You just have to play one of the 5 decks that's capable of beating it. Great, awesome, thanks for that. That's so healthy and wonderful for the format. Why don't they just put up a sign that says no creativity allowed? So what are some other solutions? Because what is just like, okay, this is an emergency, it's a dumpster fire, let's throw a fire blanket on it and see if it works. Like, what are these like drastic changes they could make that despite all their stupidity, ignorance, and ongoing making the same mistakes over and over and over, what can be done? Because remember, drastic changes is like the name of the game in the last 2 months. I mean, have you seen their press releases? Oh, they're doing some crazy crap. Like Commander, they just unbanned like 20 cards. Like, that's drastic. Oh, and a mistake too, by the way. That's gonna blow up in their faces like hand grenade level. Like, that's just, it's gonna be a catastrophe. Thank God nobody gives a shit what they ban and unban, and nobody cares. Every playgroup has their own ban list. This is gonna affect basically nobody. And I don't give a shit about MTGO. But there, it's gonna blow up in their face. I'm just saying I don't care, and most people don't care. So like I said in the last video, big deal while simultaneously not being a big deal. But what could they do that's like on par with that to standard? Well, besides, like I said, the cheater thing of just your local gaming store fixes its own meta. I mean, problem solved. I don't even see a downside other than 1 or 2 pissed off people. And then they go to your competitor's store across town, play there, and piss everybody off there and drive away their customers. There's a business benefit to that. Oh, trust me, I'm well aware of that effect. You ever heard of the LGS from hell? 3 of the players from there just got banned from another LGS in my area. I mean, they came over and tried to steal 3 cards worth $200, so that was, there was that, but that's the kind of people that play there. That's who's left over there, and they're not welcome anywhere else. So yes, take the toxic players and send them elsewhere. It's just like when a really toxic customer that's clearly going to be a problem, I can already tell on the phone, calls me, I tell them I don't do that service, even if I do, or I don't sell that product, even if I do, and then send them to my most hated competitor's store. Now if you're like, oh, Des, that's so cold. Every business does that. Everyone does that. I did not come up with that idea. So anyway, enough about that. What could they do? Number 1, block constructed. You want to lower the power, up the creativity, and let people get away with some kind of janky, weird stuff, because everybody knows people love that. I mean, that's why pre-releases are so popular in draft, because you can take like a very third-rate thing and actually like win with it, because everybody else is probably stuck with, half cards they didn't want anyway. But yeah, block constructed. You just say, well, it doesn't really work anymore, because there used to be 3 sets per block and 2 sets per block, but, so I mean, not a great idea, but you could have just done Kaladesh constructed. Nothing is legal here but Kaladesh. It's not just, oh, we banned everything, this is our new standard. There's literally a format called block constructed. So, I mean, it would be, vehicles, but all the little more subtle side things. Like, if you did Ixalan constructed, people would actually play pirates and probably actually win with it. And remember, those 2 sets were play tested very heavily against each other. I'm getting the distinct impression that Kaladesh and Aether Revolt were not tested very well with Dominaria and M19. Imagine that. But Ixalan and Rivals, I mean, those 4 tribals were very, very similar in power level to each other. And that is not an accident. They do that on purpose. So you might think, okay, Ixalan would be boring. People would just pick one of the 4 decks because it's a tribal deck. That's the mechanic. The mechanic is tribal. I mean, yeah, there was Enrage and stuff, but I mean, the mechanic was tribal, let's be honest. So that'd be boring. People just pick one of 4 decks. Oh, that's stupid. First of all, there's like 3 different dinosaur color combinations. And Pirates had like 2 or 3 or 4 different versions. And Merfolk had mono and then Explore heavy or Unblockable heavy, Ramp heavy, Control heavy. I mean, it would have worked, but even besides those 4 super archetypes, somebody could come up with some weird little side thing, maybe like an equipment deck or something a little bit more obscure that normally wouldn't be able to win, but without any assistance from Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation, Kaladesh, or Aether Revolt, you could come up with some pretty creative, like weird, janky, fun, interesting, novel ideas that nobody's seen before. And if the deck's tight and your math is good and the strategy is good and the deck's just not like forced to happen when the card support isn't really there, you could bring that a win with it and people would be like, wow, that's wacky. And it would just be this crazy arms race. And instead of building 1 deck because that's all you can compete with, you'd build 5 decks, which means you're buying more cards and more packs from the LGS. There's no downside to this. It's like every time a new standard set comes out, everything cycles. It's like, oh, Kaladesh is out. We're playing Kaladesh. Or maybe, wait for Aether Revolt. Like, can't really play block constructed with half the block, but now it's single blocks. I don't know how you do that. I mean, if you literally just did Dominaria constructed, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I think 1 set, I don't know. That's a little narrow for me. So this is more like, historically, this would have worked. I just realized I didn't make this clear at all for people who don't know what's going on here. When you hold Friday Night Magic, it can be any format at all. People run Commander F&M. It doesn't have to be standard constructed. You can run Draft. You can run Plane Chase if you wanted. People run Modern F&M. Like, you can pick the format, and an officially recognized Wizards format is block constructed. So you would just make your F&M be block constructed. It's not like Wizards would have to change anything. Your local gaming store would just have to say, this is what we're doing, the end. It would piss people off because they'd have to constantly rebuild their deck, and their dual lands would be worthless, but, it is what it is. It would solve the problem. I said these are drastic. I never said there was not a downside. This actually would be pretty terrible, but it would solve the problem. You know what I mean? Hell, people play Pauper for F&M. You want to talk about restricted? Okay, if you guys can prove that your LGS has switched to my completely made-up format called Giant Leaders, where every spell has to cost 4 and up, otherwise it's basically tiny leaders, 49+1 commander rules, all fetching is illegal unless it's for land, I will send that LGS a signed card. Oh boy, what a reward. Hey, how much money do you think I have? This month is shit on YouTube. So what's the second idea I've got? Because I only really had 2 ideas besides, fixing the root of the problem, but let's just repair the effects. That's what we've moved on to now because it's time to move on because Wizards is evidently not going to fix anything themselves. They're not going to fix the actual cause of the problem. Let's mitigate the effects. Number 2 is, I know people aren't going to like this, permanently limit standard to 2 colors per deck. Look back at the last 5 years. What were the worst decks ever printed? Most of them were 3 color. Some of them are even more. They have solutions for everything. Their sideboards are perfect. They have answers. They can do everything. Like literally, if you run 3 colors, you can do everything in the game. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. That is how that works. Certain colors do certain things. If you're running blue, you have counter spells. White and black are the removal colors. Green and red are the giant creature colors. So if you mix perfect scry draw synergy with counter spells, control, removal, and giant creatures, you have no weakness. And I alluded to this in an earlier video, so besides just limiting everybody to no more than 2 colors in standard permanently or as an LGS rule, I mean either one, I'm just saying this would mathematically solve the problem to an extent. Wouldn't fix mono red, but other than that, there's very few outliers. I mean, white blue, I can't name anything else. 3 color energy, 4 color energy, that was broken. Anything Jeskai during Cons to Dragons, broken. Esper control with Ugin, broken. It's almost like when you add colors too easily to a format and make it too consistent that people put together just best of decks that are too powerful. It's like when you add a color, you add more options and more powerful cards. Like it's almost like you take like 300 more cards that are legal and add them as potential cards to put in your deck. I don't know how that works. It must be magic. So this hard rule, you cannot run more than 2 colors. Simple. And also make it a hard rule that you cannot run more than 12 planeswalkers in a deck. You cannot run more than 16 control spells or what would be considered counter spells or direct creature removal. And you cannot have more than 16 mythics in a deck. Just institute those simple safeguards and it would prevent people from building broken decks in the first place. Unfortunately, the side effect would be just utterly ridiculous. That's why I'm not even saying that they should actually do this. Just because these are like the potential symptoms, the setup, if you will, for these broken decks doesn't mean that every deck that runs more than X of a certain thing is broken. I mean, if you run more than 16 control spells, there's something wrong with your deck. I mean, that's a given. But there are perfectly fair, legitimate, fun 3-color decks out there, so to like ruin it for everybody would be a little much. I'm just saying this would be super drastic and it would fix the problem. What I would prefer is they fix the root of the problem and stop printing cards and decks like this in the first place. Scarab God should have never happened. Blue-black control is barely even a competitive deck if you remove the Scarab God. It wouldn't have even been a thing. I mean, counterspells, Stall, Torment, both ones, that's a deck, but it's, with Hand Disruption, it's not that great of a deck. It looks good, but when it's actually in play, it actually loses a lot. But yeah, if they instituted those simple safeguards, and this is not without precedent, on duels, you could not run more than, well, this is another solution, more than I think it was 2 copies of any 1 mythic in a deck, or like 1 or 3. I know it wasn't 4. It wasn't you can't have more than, the 5 unique mythics. It was like if there is a mythic, I think it was you can't put in more than 2 in the deck at all. So you run an As Foretold or a Planeswalker, you cannot have 3 or 4 in the deck. I believe that's how they ran it. And guess what? It was a lot more fun to play on duels. There was a reason people really love duels and they were really pissed off when Wizards canceled it, and it wasn't just money. It was because duels was an improved version of Magic. Once again, that's debatable. There's certain decks I wanted to build on there that I really couldn't, and that pissed me off, but it did work. I mean, it was very restrictive, but it worked. So it was such a good idea that they basically tried it. I mean, remember, originally, they didn't have a 4-card limit in Magic. People were running 20 fireballs. And then they're like, okay, let's just put a restriction on it and see what happens, and here we are now. In my opinion, every single card should be restricted to 3. 4 is too many. It has to be 3, and keep it at 60 too for the deck size. That would solve all your problems right there. If there's a broken card, you're not going to get to it. If there's a broken combo, you're really not going to get to it. 4 and 4 meeting up with Scry Draw Assistance and Fetch, okay. I mean, Splinter Twin, it's not a standard deck, but like Saheeli Rai Felidar. You want to get 3 and 3 to meet up? I can't even put into words what would be the reduction in probability of that happening. I actually could put it into exactly one number, but it's 1:55 in the morning, so I'm not going to. The problem is it would probably just devolve into tribal crap. Everybody would just play tribal because everything works with everything, and if everything works with everything while you're also limited to 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, yeah, you're gonna beat everything else. So everything I said in this entire video has a downside, except for the intro where I told you guys how to actually fix it. So, hey Wizards, actually fix it. You know what, I'm gonna add in a bonus one at the end here. Ban 15 cards. None of this piddly little 1Z, 2Z, oh, we're gonna ban these 2 cards, we're gonna ban this 1 card, we're gonna ban these 4 cards. Take everything everyone hates and ban it. All the try-hard, spend $500 a deck, ruin F&M, asshole, net decking douchebags will quit the game for good because they'll just be like, fuck this, there's nothing left to play, blah, 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 wah, wah, wah. I want somebody to build my deck for me so I can just build it, play it like shit, and go stomp everybody anyway at F&M and steal all the prizes from anybody trying to have fun. Oh no, they're leaving the game? Oh, let me get out the world's smallest violin. And then they just all storm off and nobody wanted them here anyway, and the rest of us could enjoy Magic. Just say, wow, the power level's out of control, 8 sets are legal at a time. Somebody corrected me on that. I guess I suck at counting. No, I didn't think Battle Bond was legal. I just never bothered to count is what it really was. These decks are just too powerful. They're too toxic to play against. Everybody hates them. We want Magic to be fun again. Ban, 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 ban. Now, the time to do that would have been a couple months ago. Doing it right before rotation, that doesn't even make sense. But let me just add this as a bonus fix about how to stop Standard from being broken. Stop letting people play with 8 fucking sets. Hey, you want to know why Modern's more powerful than Standard? It might have something to do with the fact that there's like 50 legal sets to play with. More cards, more interactions, more combos, more broken, more powerful decks. It's that simple. You only need about I'll say 7th grade math class to figure out that that's how probability works. More options equals exponentially more card interactions. And it is exponential. It is not linear scaling, it is exponential. People get that wrong all the time. 2 in one group, 2 in the other group, you've got 4 combinations. 4 and 4, you got 16 combinations, but you only doubled the pool. Like I said, 7th grade. Even that might be a little generous. You know what? Geometric scaling might have actually been like 5th grade. Anyway, that's how you fix Standard. That's how you do it. The funny thing is some of these individually would almost exclusively fix the entire problem in its entirety. That's why I said entire problem. I'm being purposely redundant. Okay, that joke is an antique. You just fix R&D and stop printing Scarab Gods and the problem solved. You could let 8 sets be legal if you just really did your job better. If you just made better ban decisions, it doesn't matter about anything else. Nothing else matters. Nothing else I said matters one bit. You remove the problems and you don't have a problem. It's that simple. Limit control, nobody can build a control deck. The end. No more control decks, problem solved. Let 12 sets be legal. Nobody's gonna be able to build a control deck because you limited it to 16 cards. And I'm gonna go back to what I said in another video. Just let people vote. Every time a ban cycle comes out, let everybody vote, and whatever card wins, that gets kicked out of the game. Tie it to their DCI number, and don't accidentally leave Island or Mountain as an option. Oh my god. Even I would encourage people to exploit that just for the meme of it. Like on a live stream, the live stream ban voting announcement, the results are in. Mark Rosewater walks out, and they have banned, oh shit, they banned an entire color. I would put that footage on a 10-hour loop and upload it straight to my channel and then feature it as the primary channel video, like the channel trailer. So anyway, those are the many individual different ways to fix Standard. Just think what would happen for a second if they implemented all of them. And not like the crazy ones at the end, just like all the precautionary stuff, like all the real stuff that would actually have an effect. Boy, wouldn't that be fun? Literally, it would be fun. It would actually be fun to play Magic for once. Well, rest assured they're going to fix absolutely nothing because they're so incompetent. They've made them same mistakes over and over and over for 25 years. Why would anything change now? But there is one thing that you can personally do about it. And that's hit the like and subscribe button and turn on notifications if you want. I wouldn't, that would get annoying. I upload like 1.5 videos a day. Oh, I got a notification. I'm just gonna drop everything I'm doing and watch a 30-minute podcast by Des. Great idea. Hell no, turn notifications off. Although you would miss my live stream, so there's that. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next video.